of sci-fi radio.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We would be honored if you would join us.
It is another Thursday night, which means another episode of Docking Bay 94, Season 12, Episode 12. Ooh,
And we have music tonight.
Colleen has an extra bonus music going on over there. No worries. You could be listening to us over on sci-fi.radio, sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. You could be watching us on YouTube or on Facebook or on Twitch. All of those places. Why? We're equal opportunity. Why not? Except X. We don't do X anymore, apparently, because Restream doesn't do X anymore.
And we are Jeffless tonight.
Right. So Jeff has run away to go
Join the circus.
join the horror circus.
Circus.
He's at Knott's Scary Farm, and he's like doing a family Halloween outing thing, which should be fun. He used to work there. He did a season or two over there as a scare actor, and so it should be really pretty fun. But it's just Colleen and I, so you get this very fancy 2-up thing.
We have
going
an
on.
equal balance. We've got one person on each one of our medias. We've got Laura on Twitch with Chris, so that's, two people actually. And then over on YouTube, we've got Alan.
Nice.
And over on Facebook, we've got Pat.
Sweet.
So howdy to y'all.
Hey everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It's a goofy Thursday. It's been really slow today. And people have been having
Slow
technical
today?
difficulties, and yeah, it's been nuts.
Oh no, it hasn't been slow for me. It's been hop to it all day.
Yeah, well, I meant
Exhausted.
like in terms of like people tuning in and listening to
okay.
the station and that kind of stuff.
We've got Lady Agatha 1066 as well. I don't know if I've seen Lady Agatha before, but I'm probably misinformed and misremembering.
Oh.
So,
Well, hey to
Hello?
everybody. Well, and people change their usernames too, which confuses the heck out of me.
oh, me too.
So like Discord, people will change their names all the time and stuff,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
That's the one thing about Facebook that I don't think I liked it when I first joined Facebook, but ever since then, like every other thing where everybody has a different handle, I'm like, how can I be expected? It's hard enough just to remember one name.
Right. I'm like, who are you?
This is like at fair trying to remember someone's real name and their character name.
You're right.
No,
And
too hard. And LARPs.
right.
That's the worst
Well,
because
and-
that's only for one night.
And our friend Roberta, who we know from science fiction conventions, we know her from Disneyland, and also from SCA, and she can tell who knows her from where, depending on how they address her, which is really funny
Because she goes by Colleen.
she goes
Oh,
by-
not Roberta. Oh, sorry, Pat goes by Colleen.
right.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
confusing for me.
our friend Roberta goes by many names, and so Bridget is what she goes by in the SCA, and so
Right.
depending on who knows her from where, that's what you get. So
So we've also got Sam and Lori says she can't get the show on Facebook on her PC, only on her phone. It was very confusing because I'm like, you're on Facebook telling us you can't get the show on Facebook?
no,
But I
she's
understand
just
she
saying
just
that
can't get it on
Facebook
her.
on her PC sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've had all sorts of weird technical difficulties going on, just like trying to access Facebook, and depending on how I access it, like my phone seems to be several days behind, and I don't know why that is either. It's very strange.
You mean on your Facebook posts?
Yeah. Yeah, so
Wacky.
like I usually I use it on my phone, but I get things like 2 days late.
Oh, I think that's just like Facebook being a jerk.
Yeah.
I
On my
don't- I'm
computer
not
it's
sure.
better, but I don't use Facebook on my computer all that much.
I think mine's about equal on my computer and on my phone where I get stuff. So
Wacky.
interesting. So Jeff, he did more stuff than we did again.
What a surprise.
Yeah.
Although,
But-
some of the stuff is negligible.
Right. He helped build one of those giant skeletons.
The 12-foot skeleton from Home Depot.
Yeah, for one of his kids wanted to do that, so he
Just-
helped them build it.
Let me get to our little Docking Bay 94 message thing. Let me see if you put a picture up there of
Well,
it.
Eric must have finished his dishes. He just popped into Twitch.
Here we go. Docking Bay. Hello, Docking Bay. Let's see.
And I should probably keep talking while Sean's looking for
Yes.
something.
It's here it is. It's
Anyway, Jeff did a bunch of stuff, but the most interesting to us was the skeleton building.
right, which he did with Owen. Here is a.
Ooh, Don said he had trouble getting the morning radio show. I wonder why.
Good Morning Tatooine. Oh, that's no fun.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Ta-da.
And Lady Agatha used to march
There we
as
go.
Jocasta Nu with the San Diego Star Wars Society.
Oh, okay, there we go. Now I know
Oh,
horse
neat.
shit.
Gigantor skeleton.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
insane.
You can see Jeff's car. on the
Jeff's
side there.
car and Owen for scale.
Right.
And also had a. Let me see if I can. Hey, where'd it go?
Did you see the video where the giant 12-foot skeleton stole somebody's car and went for a ride, and went and got like Starbucks and stuff?
I did not, but it sounds fun.
It was amusing.
I was looking to see. There was a special effects video that now I can't find. There we
Oh,
go.
but everybody gets to see your
My Facebook
your
page.
Facebook page.
So it like lights up and it
Oh, there it
blinks,
is.
and it's very cool.
It's creepy.
Yeah, well, for like $300 or $400,
It
it
better
should
be. Yeah.
So, anyway,
And then Sean did not get to go to the event. He really wanted to because he was working on a video and having
yeah.
terrible problems with the software.
So we've been doing this event for 15 years. This will be our 16th year doing Star Wars Day. And we've been doing it for 15 years over at Rancho Cucamonga Public Library. We did it during COVID. Colleen and I shot a bunch of videos and stuff. We interviewed people. We did all sorts of great stuff. And so the Rancho Cucamonga Public Library was our contact there was Alan. And Alan has changed jobs. He's in Upland now. And so we're moving the event and sort of migrating over to Upland. And instead of the all day long event, which we had been doing up to this point, it started small and it got big, and we would do a starts at 9, ends by 5 kind of big Star Wars Day. We're just doing a couple hours. Road Squadron's going to be there, 501st, Rebel Legion, Mando Mercs, Saber Guild, and so what I usually do for these things that I think is something that came out of COVID when we were trying to promote the show, the event online, is I would do these promo videos. And so I like dressed in costume. I did one in the front yard. I did one in my car. Like did whatever. I did one from Galaxy's Edge for this last one. And I updated my video editing software because the software I was using was about 15 years out of date. And I thought, well, okay, I'll bite the bullet. Let's do it. But the problem is they moved everything around. I'm also blind as a bat, so everything was tiny, tiny, tiny text, which was really awful. And it was, it wasn't a very complex video. It was like me talking at the camera with some fancy credits and, images and stuff. But it took a while, and I sort of did myself in. I probably should have got more information about doing the video because I didn't realize that they weren't going to post it until Thursday. So we had a whole bunch of things going on this weekend that I bailed out on to make sure that it was done like Sunday night or Monday, so like right away so that they could get it like the start of the week. And then apparently it didn't need to be. And so so I skipped out on like the 501st and Rebel Legion picnic that they had in Griffith Park. I didn't go to the LA Live Steamers, where I think Kim Irvine was signing a 100 Years of Disney book.
Oh man,
And
I didn't even know about
She was
that
at the
one.
Carolwood Barn which was Walt Disney's old train barn. There was like all this stuff I was going to do, and I completely bailed on it and tore my hair out over this video. But we got it done. It got posted today. It's up on my Facebook page, probably just below this video that you're watching now. And, you know, it's okay. It's me being a dork. I always have a hard time looking at those kind of things because I'm like, I talk well on camera, but I think I look like a dork. And so it is what it is. But, you know, it should be enough to get people excited about what's going on and to let them know that they should save October 7th as the big library event. And we'll have to see what happens because we'll have to see if people make the leap just a few miles west to get to Upland and realize that it's the same event that we've been doing in Rancho Cucamonga. But we're playing it safe this year. It's only a couple hours. Craig Miller is going to be there. He wrote Star Wars Memories and was the first head of fan relations for Lucasfilm. And Kevin Thompson's going to be there. He's an actor who has done just over 60 projects. He's got a couple that haven't quite come out yet. And he's been all sorts of stuff, but most notably he was an Ewok in not only Return of the Jedi, but in the TV Ewok movies as well. He was in both of those. Actually, he and I share a credit. We were in the same movie, which was that awful, awful epic movie. And Kevin's a little person. He played an Oompa Loompa, and I played a Stormtrooper. So that was kind of weird to discover. But anyway, that was my whole weekend. And then I went to Disney yesterday. Went to Disneyland and met up with my friend Sherry, who's from my old Honda del Sol club.
Well, that's fun.
And I haven't seen her in more than a decade, easy. So that was a lot of fun.
I feel like I was supposed to do something on Saturday and didn't, but maybe I'm wrong. But there was a car show going on at the Nethercut. Not a car show. There was an event going on at the Nethercut Museum, which has really old cars and is supposed to be super fancy and fun. And I didn't go.
Yeah, that was really tempting to go.
Yeah. But I've gotten to the point where going to two things in a weekend is really hard for me now. It's like I work the whole week, and then on Saturday, I need a good half the day to get to where I'm feeling like I'm caught up on sleep and rested. And then by that time, then I have like chores to do and stuff.
So if somebody, wants to donate a spa to us, a jacuzzi, we're down for that. We'll find a way to go pick it up.
But Sunday I did go to a friend of a friend is aging and doesn't sew anymore. And so the friend invited everybody that she knows who is a sewer or crafter to come over and pick out from fabric. And so I got some really nice fabric there and it was funny because the friend of friend introduced me to everyone else who was there, and I knew everyone else who was there. And so she would introduce me and I'd be like, hi, long time no see, and hug them. And then the next person, hi, long time no see, and hug them.
Yeah, everybody very much knows Colleen, and Colleen knows everybody.
The only people who didn't know me were the people whose home it was, and I don't want to say who it was because it's someone who's well known. And but I have met both of them several times. And eaten meals with them and things like that, but not
but they
enough
forget
to be remembered.
Right, they forget.
So, but that's okay. I came away with some great fabric and was able to grab some great fabric for Maria as well, who was also invited to the event but had to go to do an emergency errand. So she did not get to make it, and I brought some stuff for her, which I will give to her at LostCon.
Cool.
And then I think that was it for the weekend and for my week, because it's just been the past 2 weeks haven't been feeling great. And I think it's the weather changing from summer to fall sort of a thing.
It got cold this week, like legitimately cold. And
it made my my sinus is all weird, and so I haven't been feeling well.
Yesterday at Disneyland, I had meant to grab my jacket, and then I ended up parking very far away. What happens sometimes when you get to Disneyland in the afternoon is that they send you to a parking level where there really isn't any parking, and you'll go down the road, and there's like, they have a little counter up there, and it'll say 5 spaces, which basically means you take the one at the end of the row. Basically whatever you find. And so I was like all the way at the end of the row, and by the time I remembered my jacket, I'm like, I don't want to go back, because I was already at the stairwell. And then I got out into the sun, and I'm like, oh, actually it's kind of warm. And then when the sun started going down, then it got cold, and it got actually cold, which was nice. It was really great after how hot it had been, but it was very much a reminder. Yeah, it was very much a reminder that we live in a desert, which we forget, where it's hot during the day and it's really cold at night, and that's the desert. And Los Angeles is successfully terraformed using lots of water from the Colorado River, but it's a desert. And so even in Anaheim, I felt that yesterday. And so when I was walking back to my car, I was a bit chilly.
We have also been joined by frequent Falcon Flyer.
Woo!
And by Jedi Laureen, who joined Alan over on YouTube. We don't often get very many people on YouTube, so it's always fun to see someone over there.
Totally.
And should we go ahead and talk about Star Wars, or do you have more?
I don't.
Chit-chat
I'm trying to think if
weekend.
anything notable happened at Disneyland. I don't think so. It was crowded. It was very, very crowded.
Oh, we got a new little card.
Oh, we did.
Were showing you guys these cards.
Yeah.
Sean put them in a little sleeve for me, and he gave me sleeves for the other 2, and I haven't used them yet. So let me hold up. This one is called Casket Screamer / Ex Atencio. And there's the front of it.
That's the casket, and that's Ex Atencio. So I can only think...
And then here's the back of it.
I can only think that they're going to do Leota tombs. What,
Sorry.
You're talking about like your bad aim?
Yeah, I have such a delay that it's hard for me to hold
screen.
Anything up in front of the screen.
It also made the camera really dark, which is really weird.
Oh, geez, I didn't even realize you did that. You said it, and I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
But, there
wait.
it goes.
Hold on, now I'm off.
Oh.
Okay, now I'm back up. There you go. There's the back of the card.
I'm holding it.
Back of the card. Which you can't read.
I
but that's
don't
okay.
think it helped.
No.
Yeah. Oh, well.
But anyway, they're fun. They're doing 4 of them. And I think that the next one, so they did Thurl Ravenscroft, who of course was the head of the singing busts. He sings Grim Grinning Ghosts and is the lead singer for the Mellow Men, which are all the broken statues. And then we had Paul Frees, who is of course the ghost host who narrates your entire journey through the Haunted Mansion. Ex Atencio wrote a lot of what you hear in the Haunted Mansion, the spiel and the song and things like that.
Well, it says, former animator turned Imagineer Ex Atencio provides the cries for help from the person stuck in the casket. He also wrote the narration and song lyrics for the Haunted Mansion and for the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, he's like a legend. And then Leota Toombs was one of few female Imagineers at Disneyland, and she is the face and the voice of Madame Leota in the seance room. So I imagine, since everybody here has some sort of performance on their card, even Ex Atencio is credited for his performance as the guy in the casket, not for writing the stuff on the front there. So I feel like the next one should be Leota Toombs. If it's not, I'm gonna kind of be disappointed. But we'll see.
Yeah. We've also been joined by Miss Mella, and
happy birthday, Miss Mella. Didn't she just have a birthday?
Else. Yeah. Kelly is. She said if she's not driving home, she forgets about us. And Chris Marble as well.
Well, there you go. Okay, cool.
So we've got a good
Was
crowd
that a
going
yes?
on.
Mela had a birthday?
Yes, Mela had a birthday.
Okay. Happy birthday, Mela.
Sorry. Happy birthday, Mela.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
She posted some great pictures of going out to dinner for her birthday. So I did see them. I'm just wacky today.
No worries. It's been a day.
Yeah.
There was a lot of traffic today. I ran out to get some parts for. We're doing a Ghostbusters event this weekend. Jeff and I are, and I'm trying to get a couple things ready for it. And I needed some parts. And just coming home from Culver City was traffic. So much traffic. It's really nuts.
You should let me know when I should do a Ghostbusters event.
Yeah.
Now that I have a jumpsuit, but no backpack yet.
Yeah. This. We have to tweak your backpack a little bit. This one probably would have been pretty good, although I think it's like early Sunday morning, and it's for the Susan G. Komen cancer charity. So
Cool.
we shall see.
Oh, and so Sean and I went out to lunch on Tuesday, because we usually go out to lunch on Tuesdays, and we went to The Habit, which sells hamburgers.
Right.
And they have flavored lemonades there. And on the spur of the moment, I decided I'm going to get a flavored lemonade because, I don't know, I want to. I don't usually get a drink. And so we stood in line twice so that I could get a drink. And the spur of the moment thing was also that I said, I'm going to go for broke and get a large lemonade. A large lemonade from there is 3 of these glasses.
Right, and that
So-
glass is what, 8 ounces?
I guess. This is my 3rd glass of lemonade that I've had from the one drink at the hamburger place.
Woo!
Mela said that she also went to the 2nd largest Oktoberfest in the United States for her birthday.
Wow.
And Laura says she wants to try the Habit. Try the teriyaki burger. They're really good. And Eric likes the... they have green beans that are deep fried there. He usually gets those.
Cool.
Star Wars. Let's do it.
Okie dokie. Here's the thing. Birthdays for this week. Bob Anderson, one of several people to play Darth Vader in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Specifically, he was the choreographer and stuntman for the lightsaber fights. Bob he's like a legendary swordsman. He did The Princess Bride. He did stuff with Errol Flynn. He had a really long career. And so they actually made him a special mask because it was so dark when they were fighting. They made a mask with a plexiglass face on it. Some of the panels you could see through, which was really cool, beyond just the regular eye holes, so that he could see to fight and all of that stuff. And so he did that, and he trained like people for Lord of the Rings trilogy and for James Bond and stuff like that. So happy birthday to him as like an epic filmmaker. It's pretty cool. Stephen Gerber was born on this day in 1947, actually the 20th, so yesterday, and was a comic book writer for the Tatooine Sojourn comic strip. And I always forget in the birthday list that when we talk about people's Star Wars birthdays, they're people who have passed away. And like, oh, he died. I'm like, well, of course he died. Because
he's in the list.
Because he's in the list. Star Wars history, 1989. Star Wars was one of the first 25 films to be inducted into the Library of Congress and the National Film Registry as a significant work of art. Of course, they make announcements every year for films that get put in there, but to be one of the first inductees in the inaugural class is pretty good, and if anybody says, Star Wars is not culturally relevant, point them at that. 9/15/1993, the Star Wars Trilogy Definitive Collection was released on Laserdisc. Pre-special edition, but THX certified. They went in and they cleaned up the movies and did a bunch of stuff. It came with a book called Skywalking, which is a biography on George Lucas. And it was pretty epic. And so there are some people I know, and if I ever find a Laserdisc, I will probably become one of them, because we have the Laserdiscs in the other room. If I ever find the Laserdisc player, it is the best way to watch the original Star Wars with, like really good, high quality. But before the special edition stuff came in, all of that kind of stuff, I think the only real changes to it were the changes that were made in the theater when they added the Episode 4 at the beginning of Star Wars for its first re-release in 1978. They added Episode 4 when they knew they were making a sequel, and they had titled it A New Hope, which neither of those things were there in the original crawl in 1977. So so that Star Wars Trilogy Definitive Collection, there are people who just have Laserdisc players only to play that, which is kind of cool.
Wacky.
And it was like this Criterion collection, super fancy, super high quality stuff. Episode 2 wrapped principal photography on the 20th of September in the year 2000 for the sequel to Episode 1. It was pretty cool.
Awesome.
And that's it for birthdays and history.
Okay. Donald Glover's Lando is now planned as a Star Wars movie, but I thought we already knew this. Is this new news?
No, we knew that he was getting a series. He and his brother were working on a series when last we checked in, which I thought was going to be great because you could tell lots of different stories, right? For Lando, and ideally, like in my head, as I make this up in my head, I thought it would be great to have Billy D. Williams as old Lando introduce a story, and then have
kind of like the young Indiana Jones.
Exactly, and have Donald Glover participate in the story. Right, it'd be super cool.
Yeah.
And then it gets Billy D. Williams back in there, and it's that would be like the perfect scenario for me. But it sounds like they're now going to do whatever they're doing as a theatrically released movie. Of course, TV series are great, but movies are where they make the money. Donald Glover is a pretty big deal. He's got a pretty big following. We loved him as Lando Calrissian in the Solo movie. That's not in question. And he's writing the whole thing. But what they could do is they could introduce the series with a movie, like they did the Clone Wars cartoon series, and then do a television series that piggybacks on the movie.
That would be kind of cool.
So you could kind of get both of them, right? It'd be pretty cool.
So Chris Marble wants to know if there's anything that we want him to announce at tonight's Losfus meeting. I don't know of anything.
Nope, I don't think so. I mean, unless people want to come to that library event at the Upland Public Library. All the information's on my Facebook page, probably underneath the live video that you guys are watching.
There you go. You can announce that.
It's just a cool event that, it's pretty much a straight shot east from the valley.
And if anybody wants to know what Losfus is, it's the Los Angeles Science Fantasy Society. That's a mouthful. Right,
and it is the oldest continuously meeting science fiction club in the world.
Yep.
And Colleen and I are members only because death doesn't release you. But they meet every Thursday night, and we haven't been to a meeting in years because we've been doing this show for 12.
Right, yeah. Guillermo del Toro was previously going to direct a Star Wars movie that was written by David Goyer. But apparently that was 4 years ago, and a lot of stuff has changed since then.
Well, they've talked about it off and on, and I guess on the Josh Horowitz podcast, Happy, Sad, Confused, Goyer said he wrote a script that Del Toro was going to do, and to be fair, like everybody wants Guillermo del Toro to make their movie. Like, remember at one point this Haunted Mansion movie that just came out was supposed to be directed by Guillermo del Toro?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everybody wants him to do the movie. And so Goyer said that there was a lot of stuff going on at Lucasfilm at this time. It's a cool script. And Del Toro confirmed it in a tweet. He says, yeah, can't say much. Maybe 2 letters, J and BB. Is that 3 letters? So those are his clues as to whatever he was going to direct for a Star Wars movie. J and BB. Could be anything.
Justin Bieber? That's J and BB.
It's like, well, is BB BB-8?
I don't know.
I don't know.
So Sam tells us that through a New York Times article that he posted a link to, which I put in the document, but I can't open, so I can't actually tell you what is in the story other than the headline, that someone found an X-Wing from episode 4. And
yeah, okay.
Maybe it was being auctioned or something?
So,
sure.
no, so if I'm right about this, I've seen this X-Wing, and I didn't know it was missing.
Well, it could be just another hyped, a lot of times in the media in the last 10 years.
Right. Well, and I'll tell you how I saw it, and I'll tell you why. So, I did some work for some Star Trek movies with Richard Coyle. He was a fan prop maker who then got tapped to work on Star Trek movies. He brought me along for the ride for some of the movies, which was really pretty neat. Didn't make any money, but got to make some cool stuff. And it did eventually. I was able to use the stuff I made there in Richard's shop to get myself a job at Mattel, which was really terrific. So one of the guys that kept giving us jobs was Greg Jean. Greg Jean made the mothership from Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He made the giant model of the Santa Monica Pier that the Ferris wheel rolled off of. He created that whole gag, which was nice. Really great with other ILM people. And he has a long career working on movies. I first met him working on Buckaroo Banzai. I was a teenager, and he came in with a spaceship model, and I'm like, oh, and that was it. And then, didn't see him for years until I ran into him again. I went, I know you. Anyway, Greg Jean, suffice to say, is a legend in the special effects industry. He passed away, sadly, and his estate is now being liquidated into auction. And he's got weird stuff. He has a William Shatner toupee from Star Trek.
Ew.
Because in addition to being this amazing model maker, he's a fanboy, or he was a fanboy, and he loved all this. So when we were making phaser replicas in Richard's shop, we would go to his house, and he would show us stuff. He's like, here's my original phaser from 1966. Here's a communicator. Here's whatever. And so he had an X-Wing in a cardboard box. And, because he needed a museum. And this happens with a lot of collectors. Forrest J. Ackerman, same way. Needed a museum. He just had so much stuff. And Greg didn't have a big house. He had a workshop. He had stuff everywhere, in every corner, in boxes and bins and all this kind of thing. So he had this X-Wing, which was really cool. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like a real X-Wing. How super cool. I forgot about it. He forgot about it. It was like, okay, he's got an X-Wing. And I don't think anybody knew it was missing.
Yeah.
Because he used to trade stuff with people all the time. And some of the stuff he had was original. And some of the stuff he had was a replica. And like, who knew what was what, right? So apparently, this particular model had vanished. It was like Red Leader's X-Wing or something like that. And it's about the size of the X-Wings that I've got here in the house. It's sort of studio scale thing. And it was like the missing X-Wing. Nobody knew where it went. But until these articles started coming out, a lot of us didn't know it was missing.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a 20-inch long model. They made 4 really amazing ones that had mechanicals that opened and closed the wings. It had lights, all of this really cool thing. And then there were a bunch of other ones that they made whose only purpose was to be blown up and whatnot. So Lucasfilm has most of the stuff in their archives, and a lot of these models tour around the country in various Star Wars exhibits. But who knew that this one was gone? But this is the one where you lock S foils into attack position and the wings go and open. I mean, it's the big deal.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's great. And I wish I knew what he traded to get it, because I'm sure he traded something for it. But anyway, it's so as I understand it, this thing's going up for auction.
Nice.
There's the article that Sam forwarded was from the New York Times, which we can't get to because it's behind a paywall. I'm going to post one that is from the Smithsonian, which I think will give you a better idea.
Oh, good.
Of
you.
what that is. Yeah, first off, Greg passing is heartbreaking because he was, how some people with a lot of talent are a real pain in the butt because they got a giant ego? That was not Greg. Greg was like we had a hard time pinning him down. What did we do? We went to see like 1941 or something at the Egyptian Theater, and Greg came out, and he was just hanging out behind the table. And he was like, he should have been at the table signing posters and stuff for people because he contributed so much to that movie.
Right.
And he just kind of wanted to hang out, which of course made him really easy to talk to. But just so much talent in one guy, and so much passion for science fiction. And he loved everything. It's not like he's like, oh, I only collect this, or I only collect that, or I'm just a Star Trek person, or I'm a whatever. He loved all of it, but he had so much of it that this X-Wing, which is gonna start at $200,000 at the auction.
Wow.
Is in a cardboard box. And the thing that was super funny is that Greg always seemed to need money. And I'm like, is it because he's buying all of this stuff? Or, what's going on? And I wish that he had still had his shop. When we moved to this area, he had just closed his shop down the street. He had a shop on Maxella in Marina Del Rey. That's like a mile and a half from here. And man, I wish he still had it. Because you would walk in to his shop and you'd go, Greg? And he'd go, yeah. And I'm like, is that an original 1950s War of the Worlds Martian war machine? He's like, oh yeah, I'm restoring it, and we're going to put it on display somewhere. It was great. It was super cool. He's a neat guy.
Nice. My Facebook has lost its chat function.
Oh no.
Oh, there it is. Got it back. Okay. So we were supposed to review episodes 4 and 5 of Ashoka.
Mm-hmm.
It was 6 this week, right?
Yeah, it was 6 this week, which we haven't seen, so we can't actually spill the dirt on it because we didn't see it.
Yeah. I have a hard time when watching series unless they're very exciting. And I'm super engaged with them. I have a really hard time separating out what happened in what episode. And Ahsoka has been pretty slow. And it's funny because I had a discussion with somebody who feels about Rebels the way we felt about Clone Wars. And so and we both feel the same way about Ahsoka, that it's really slow, and maybe.
And just to recap,
the
in
other
case
person would
you
like
don't
it.
know how we feel about Clone Wars, we found it to be very sophomoric and kind of goofy, and didn't engage us very well in it.
So far.
Which is a problem, because there's like 60 hours worth of episodes of
Clone Wars.
Clone
I thought you were
Wars.
saying-
Yeah. And so, and it tells the story of Ahsoka from young girl to almost Jedi Knight before she bails out and goes her own way. Look, I love Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda and all the Jedi that are in there. And, it says as much about Anakin as it says about Ahsoka. And bits of it are pretty cool, but I just had a hard time getting into it. And every time I watch it, I fall asleep. It's like not engaging me enough. It was a real problem with the Clone Wars. So Colleen and I ended up watching enough Clone Wars to get the
keep up.
gist.
Yeah.
Of a number of things like
basically
Rebels and things
we
like
did
that.
a search for what are the best and most important Clone War episodes, and then we took like the top 3 lists we found and combined them
Right.
to find which were the most important episodes. And then for every episode that we thought was important, we watched the 3-episode arc that was contained in that.
Exactly.
But we did not watch 60 hours worth.
No. I would estimate that we saw maybe about a quarter's worth of the series, and
Yeah.
we know who the characters are, we know the major players, we know what the big deals were, and in the case of like Ahsoka, we know what sort of made her her. But Rebels, we actually really got into. We really very much liked Rebels, and I think it was just a little closer to the Star Wars movies that we knew.
I can't remember who I was talking to that felt. I think it's somebody at work who felt the same way. Like they just couldn't get into Rebels. They didn't like the animation style. They didn't like the scripts. But they watched a couple of episodes.
Right.
And a lot of people have said that Ahsoka seems like episode or season 5 of Rebels.
Oh,
So-
completely. I mean, it basically just sort of it's continuing that storyline. Even Dave Filoni says it is Rebels season 5.
Yeah.
I mean, he's making no bones about it.
I think that the best sort of comment that I've seen on episode 5 of Ahsoka was what we really need to talk about is the parenting skills of Hera and whether she should be bringing her child into
A combat zone.
combat zone.
Right. And that's a legitimate, but it's right there in the name, Star Wars.
Right.
So
and he's
what do you do?
how old is he? Like somewhere between 8 and 10.
I think he's 9. Yeah,
9.
He's
yeah.
9.
That would
Which would be somewhere between 8 and 10.
10.
So one of the difficulties that I have, and I'll roll this, and we're gonna have to let excuse me, we're gonna have to let Jeff talk next week because Jeff's really loving the series. Colleen and I are a little more trepidatious about it. But the problem that I have with the prequels as a set of movies is they demystify the most badass villain in the galaxy, which is Darth Vader. They take Darth Vader from being this mysterious, dark figure, incredibly powerful, Machiavellian in his manipulation to rise to power, and they completely wash that away by showing him as a whiny kid, showing him as a whiny teenager. He's like petulant, he's annoying, he's just evil, just like before he became Darth Vader, he was evil. So a lot of that kind of stuff just sort of demystified Vader for me, and it really wasn't until Rogue One where Vader walks in, lights up his lightsaber, and just kills everybody in his scenes, that you're like, ooh, okay, crap, Vader's back where Vader should be. And nothing against Hayden Christensen or Jake Lloyd or anything like that. They did the jobs they were hired to do. They did them well, and that's part of my problem. And so I'm having a similar problem with Ahsoka, where we have so much information on Ahsoka. We've seen her grow up from this whiny, petulant teenager or tween maybe, where she's like, I'm going to call my master Sky Guy because I have no respect for him. And then and he's got catchy little snips nicknames for her and all this kind of stuff. And so I couldn't get into that. And then later on, she just got really, really powerful. She's just very exceptional as a Jedi, which is great. But the more Dave Filoni throws at me of her backstory, the lower the stakes are for me. I'm not worried about her. I'm not worried about her getting hurt or dying or anything like that because she is Dave Filoni's chosen one, the way Anakin was George Lucas's chosen one. And so the way you basically went through the prequels knowing, well, I know what happens to Darth Vader. I know he doesn't die. I know he melts in a volcano, but I know he doesn't die. I feel the same way about Ahsoka, where I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's going to be fine.
AV Club reviewed some of the Ahsoka episodes, and the headline is, "How can constant lightsaber fights feel this dull?"
Bye, Chris Marble. He's leaving to go to Lasses.
And sadly, Ahsoka's getting tromped in the Nielsen polls.
I don't even know how they do Nielsen's anymore although maybe they're easier now.
I would think they'd be easier.
Basically Disney just reports how many hours people watch.
So the week of August 21st, which was the second week of Ahsoka, Suits came in first, which is a 4-year-old show.
All right.
Followed by Who is Aaron Carter, which I've never heard of, on Netflix. Disney Plus's kids-focused Bluey.
Okay.
And 417 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. So on Netflix.
Wow.
So it's behind Suits, Grey's Anatomy, Bluey, and something called Who is Aaron Carter?
Well, I mean, in our case, you and I are not on top of watching this. We're now I know a lot of people who are 6 p.m. Tuesday can't get here fast enough. And whatnot. And this week's episode, and again, no spoilers, but this week's episode must be good because everybody's spoiling the stupid thing. Minutes after it aired, people are like, oh my God, look at these screen grabs. And I feel like I've seen the whole episode just by scrolling Facebook. So I don't know, maybe it's finally picking up. But what is it, 8 episodes? And this is episode 6?
Lady Agatha says Ahsoka episodes move very slowly. It seems like each episode could be written as a brief paragraph.
I feel I don't disagree with that. And I feel like part of the problem is the direction. So Star Wars is space opera. It's supposed to be over the top and very grandiose and big, giant adventure. Big fun, as they used to call it. And, lots of running and gunning and saving and daring do and spaceship battles and aliens and all this kind of stuff, right? So Ahsoka so far feels to me, and again, your mileage may vary, it's just my opinion, feels to me like they're taking it too seriously. I always say that Star Wars isn't Shakespeare, but this is.
I mean,
they're treating
Shakespeare
it,
isn't Shakespeare.
They're treating it like Shakespeare. They're like, it's big and it's pompous and everything has weight and gravity. And, at least in episode 5, we saw Ahsoka smile a little bit. She seems to have turned a corner kind of and went from Ahsoka the Gray to Ahsoka the White or whatever. And so at least she's sort of lightening up, but everything is still very serious and ponderous. And it's all they need to do is bring William Shatner in here.
It's hysterical, though, because in his day, Shakespeare wasn't ponderous and weighty.
Right. But he is now. That's
Yes.
how we treat it now. And
Right.
that's the way I feel like Ahsoka is being treated, Shakespeare is treated now. Because it's supposed to be fun and light and exciting and, things can have gravity. Look at how goofy a character Yoda is. Just take him out of context. You have a little rubbery green Muppet dude he's a puppet, and he's dispensing all of this wisdom to our hero, but we bought into it. We went, wow, okay, he's totally training this guy. He's and we were willing to suspend our disbelief to buy that, this little latex creature was really a Jedi Master. We went for it. And we're getting that same sort of like thing from Ahsoka, that same vibe, but everything has weight. It's just so serious. And I'm like, not even Yoda was that serious.
Okay, so let's move on from Star Wars to theme parks. Disneyland half marathon weekend medals revealed. Pictures of the medals that they're going to be giving out for the Disneyland.
Run Disney was a thing that they used to do where you could sign up and you ran a 5K and a 10K, and I think you could do a full marathon.
It used to be a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and a full marathon, because we know people who have run it.
Right.
And it's January 11th through 14th.
There we go. So
but this one's only 3 races.
Yeah, and so we used to go down when they would have the Star Wars Disney runs, and we would cheer people on in costume. We'd put our cars there. There was a corner. We would park all of our cars as the barrier to keep people from running off course. We would be there in Star Wars costume. Every costume club would be down there cheering. And in fact, Disney was so cool when we started doing it. They used to give us tickets to Disneyland, which was really great. Eventually, by the end of it, they were just like, whatever. They wanted to pay us, which is funny. Oh, I'll give you $30.
Gregor says he'd be down to drive a 5K.
I've walked a 5K. I haven't run a 5K, but I've walked a 5K in Star Wars costume, which was pretty funny.
Good night, frequent Falcon Flyer.
But anyway, the collecting these things is kind of a big deal.
So
and they're always kind of
get a medal for each of the 5K, 10K, and half marathon. And if you manage to finish both the half marathon and the 10K, they give you a double dare medal. So you get a bonus medal if you have finished both.
That's cool. What's this one? The half marathon.
Yeah.
There's the Dumbo Double Dare. And sometimes, depending on what the race is, what they're doing, you can run through Disneyland. And I think, and someone correct me if I'm wrong about this, people have said that they've done the race, and then they just spend the rest of the day in Disneyland in their running clothes. Which is kind of fun.
Most of these things that you used to get free admission to Disneyland for don't allow for that anymore, or the price of entering the event is the price of a ticket plus something additional. So it's not like you get a discount.
Too bad.
Ticket into Disneyland. Disney World had more wackiness happen. A bear shut it down by hanging out inside the park.
Not a country bear. A real
actual bear. It climbed a tree near Big Thunder Mountain in Frontierland and caused 3 of the lands to shut down for about a half a day while the bear was captured and relocated 80 miles away. There's video of the bear being relocated, but it's not an interesting video at all, so we don't need to share it.
Right.
Basically, it shows people carrying a tarp with the bear wrapped in it because they probably gave it tranquilizers and then carried it, so that it wouldn't maul them while they were trying to carry it out.
Well, and how do we know that wasn't Merida's mom coming to visit? I mean, she turns into a bear, doesn't she?
It said that most of the Magic Kingdom had reopened by 12:30 p.m., but the Walt Disney World Railroad was still closed at 3 p.m. I don't know when it reopened. Because this article was published at about that time.
One of the best things to come out of that, though, was that people were photoshopping the bear onto all the rides.
That was fun.
Which was really cool. So, like the bear in the teacups and the bear on Dumbo.
Sounds like Eric thought it was a joke when he first heard it because of that.
It sounds ludicrous, doesn't it? And so in Florida, when you hear about an animal making its way into their park, it's almost always an alligator or a snake. It's like it's some lizard or something that lives in a swamp. Nobody's talking about bears.
Right, right.
And it wasn't even Fozzie looking for Kermit. I mean, come on.
So Vicky points out that Red Hatters used to get tickets for doing the marathon, the cheering section of the marathon. The Star Wars people used to do that as well. And I don't think they're doing that anymore. And Garen Benton Fritsch said that he's not able to get into Disneyland because he's having difficulties with their purchasing website.
And that's disappointing. So I was there yesterday, Wednesday, and it would have been great to see you there. Although, honestly, I think I'm going to see him Sunday at this Ghostbusters event that we're going to do. Because I think he's bringing his Ectomobile, which is a cool vintage Volvo that he's put a bunch of stuff on. It looks really neat. And so he's going to display his car, and then Jeff and I are piggybacking our cars into the display. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got to tell you that I've had a similar problem getting into the park, not from payment, but just because the app went down. And like it took me an hour to get into the park. The people at the gate had to figure out how to make that happen. But you're not the only person I've heard who had trouble getting their pass renewed. It's a timing thing, and so like a lot of people try to renew their passes on the last day, but there's like an East Coast versus West Coast timing issue, and my buddy had the exact same problem where they couldn't like get the payments through and whatnot to make it happen again. So
they Laura said they should have put a bear in the Country Bear Jamboree scene. They did.
Oh, of course. Oh my gosh.
Like every ride you can think of, every attraction at Disney World, someone photoshopped a bear into it so that they could make jokes about it.
I'll see if I can find some of these, because honestly, they were absolutely amazing.
They were pretty funny.
But finding them is like really tough. It was probably like a Facebook thing.
Right. So we're at the top of the hour in about 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do the top of the hour now, or
we can
move
wait
on to another topic?
Well, what do we got? We got trailers.
We've got trailers.
I'll tell you what. Let's just do the rest in peace stuff real quick.
Okay.
And get through that.
Go for it.
Billy Miller passed away at the age of 43. He's probably best known for being in ABC's All My Children and also General Hospital. So he's a soap opera actor. He won a number of Emmys, and his manager announced his death but didn't say why, although he's been struggling with manic depression. That's usually not a good sign. But he was also on The Young and the Restless, and he just basically made a huge career out of soap opera acting, which was it's nice work if you can get it. And I have to assume that soap operas are also struck right now.
Well, if they need writers and actors, then yes.
Peter Kozacek, he's the visual effects artist for Nightmare Before Christmas, passed away at the age of 72. He worked on a lot of Tim Burton stuff, Coraline, Corpse Bride, James and the Giant Peach. He also worked on Star Trek and Star Wars and RoboCop. He's was primarily a stop-motion animator, and so I think he worked on some of the Attack of the Clones stuff with creature animation. He did bug animation for Starship Troopers, and he did stop motion camera work on Ghostbusters 2 for some of their ghost effects and things like that. So, and Howard the Duck and Star Trek 4, which is a lot like Episode 5 of Ashoka. Ashoka meets George and Gracie. But anyway, sad to hear of his passing, but he leaves an insane career behind. And then Edward Hume passed away at the age of 87. He's the guy who wrote The Day After. You have to be of a certain age to remember this, but it was a miniseries about life after atomic war. And this happened when we were in high school, Colleen and I, 1983. I remember actually, I was in the computer lab where we had the ability to print posters and banners. And so I made a banner that was like, "Have a nice day after," the big smiling mushroom cloud. And they kept popping up all over school, which annoyed my teachers. But he did the streets of San Francisco and all sorts of stuff. But this miniseries was absolutely insane. And interestingly, it was the first American movie to be released in the Soviet Union. So if that's not a pointed message, I don't know what is. But basically, it forced us to take a look at the height of the Cold War at what would happen when, if we observed mutual self-destruction. Anyway, sad to hear of his passing, but 87, it's a pretty good run.
Top of the hour.
Yep. You are listening to Docking Bay 94 on sci-fi.radio. It is sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. You can go to that website and listen to the station 24/7. We've got all sorts of news stories up there for you too. The station is listener supported. So if you like what you hear, you might want to consider throwing something at Patreon on behalf of the station. Tuned in right now, United States, Russia, Canada, Estonia, and Germany, which is sort of our usual gang. Those guys are the hardcore people. But that's pretty cool. You could be watching us on Facebook or on Discord at the sci-fi.radio Discord channel in the live DJ section. You can check it out there where we also chat. And we have YouTube and my Facebook page. Did I say
Awesome.
Twitch? I think I said Twitch.
Know.
I don't know. All of those things. We're all over the place.
Sure.
We're spread thin.
Right. So let's move on to trailers. We have a bunch of them. The first one is on Netflix on September 27th, so coming up next week, is The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. It's a Wes Anderson movie that's going straight to Netflix, and it stars Benedict Cumberbatch as Henry Sugar. Huge Wes Anderson fan, so I'm interested in watching that.
This one looks a little different than his usual stuff. I mean, thematically it looks the same, and visually it looks the same, but characters self-narrate for themselves, which is really weird.
Oh, I thought it just... So, I didn't realize it was Wes Anderson, clicked on it, watched like a minute of the trailer, and went, this looks like Wes Anderson. So, it's not like it's hard to tell. Shoot, I thought there was something I was going to mention about this movie, and I can't remember what it was. But I will definitely be watching
It's the usual cast. It looks pretty great, and it actually looks like it might be happy for once.
Oh, I wanted to say that, have you noticed an uptick in the number of people that have been posting video or photos of themselves on vacation or on a little, like, out for the day in the style of Wes Anderson? Maybe it's just me.
Oh, well, because people can do it with AI.
So fun. Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, so basically what people are doing is they're making Wes Anderson movies with AI, because AI is good at flat, the way Wes Anderson is. And so they have been creating these trailers and things using real actors, because...
they're doing themselves. It's like people on vacation, or...
Oh, see,
it would be like if you and
better.
I
like
went to Paris, and then we did like a day in Paris as a Wes Anderson thing. Although I don't think I've seen one in Paris. It's just been a couple that I've seen, like, around the neighborhood. Somebody did one about walking their dog. Yeah.
I think I remember that one.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
They're fun.
And there were some things where you looked at, you're like, how many times did they do that to get the dog to comply?
Yeah, because the dog was looking one way and the dog walker was looking the other way. Okay, so be sure and watch that on Netflix next week. Coming to Paramount Plus starting October 12th is the new series Frasier, where it's after, if you recall, at the end of Frasier, he moved back to Boston, and now you see him at his new hangout, and he wants to have a better relationship with his son. So that's what the episode is about. It's about him at his new hangout and hanging out with his son when his son is not as excited as spending time with him.
Because his son's got his own life going on.
Yeah, and his son is also not, doesn't have as refined tastes as his dad does.
That's true.
That makes for some of the conflict in an amusing way. Coming to Disney Plus and Hulu on October 13th is the new Goosebumps. And this stars Justin Long. So kind of bears watching for that. It's like maybe a tween horror, or maybe even younger than tween. I'm not entirely sure. Probably aimed at tweens. Yeah,
it's... I mean, Goosebumps has always been aimed at tweens, and it's Disney Plus, so...
Oh, yeah.
But it's, of course, based on the R.L. Stein series of books, and there was a television series that
Justin Long
great.
Plays the new teacher who moves into the neighborhood and is, like, maybe living in the haunted house that they're dealing with. Coming to Apple TV Plus, Lessons in Chemistry on October 13th. This stars Brie Larson, and it's set late 50s, maybe early 60s, and it's about a woman who's a chemist and basically gets excused from the room because she's not a man, and ends up as a host of a cooking show, because as people who know chemistry and or know baking know, they're pretty much the same thing, baking and chemistry.
That explains why I blow so much stuff up.
Yeah, that would be it. This one looks really good. I wish that I had access to Apple Plus.
I think this
Apple
is
TV
the first thing that Apple Plus has shown that you want to see.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that because I like Brie Larson. I like the subject matter.
And it's the 60s, right? The 1960s?
It's late 50s, early 60s. I can't...
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, hard to tell. Looks really good. And sorry, I never got to the end of what I was saying about she goes on the cooking show, and rather than being a woman who says, here are all the things you can cook for your man, she says, here are all the things you could cook if you like, but maybe your man should be cooking too.
Right.
And the men don't particularly like her asking for equality.
And I loved her, like, kids at the table. Mommy needs a little time for herself.
Yeah, that was good.
But yeah, it looks pretty fun.
Coming to ABC, Once Upon a Studio is a short film that's being played with the wonderful world of Disney's 100th anniversary celebration on October 15th. And this looks cute. It has all of the animated characters from the various films all interacting with one another.
It has a Roger Rabbit kind of vibe to it, which is sort of fun.
Because they pop out of their, like, the studio offices close for the day, and the animated characters pop out of the pictures that are hanging in the hallways, and they all run into the studio to have a celebration.
And everything is mixed together. 2D, 3D, all of it is all kind of together. And of course it takes place in the real world environment of Disney Animation and the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank. Yeah. So yeah, it looks kind of fun.
I'd like to see that. The next one was weird. Did you watch Dream Scenario trailer, Sean?
I did. This was the one with Nick Cage?
With Nick Cage. It took me like I don't know, a while, halfway through the trailer, to figure out who the heck that was.
That it was Nick Cage?
Nick Cage looked so different to me.
He looked exactly like Nick Cage.
I don't know. I just had a problem. Like, there's that guy. I can't think of what his name is. This is coming to theaters, and it's about... it's coming to theaters on November 10th, starring Nick Cage. It's about... Everybody in the world is suddenly dreaming of this character that Nick Cage is playing. And Nick Cage is playing this kind of schlumpy guy.
He's like a college professor.
Yeah. And suddenly everybody in the world, or a large percentage of it, are dreaming about him. And a lot of people are excited that he is in their dreams, or blaming him for what they're dreaming or what he does to them in their dreams. It's all very...
I noticed that Tim Meadows is playing another school administrator.
He may be typecast as
right?
that.
Maybe.
Like, maybe that's all he'll ever do.
But anyway, it's weird. So of course, he becomes an unwitting celebrity because he's in everybody's dreams, and then he's a media darling because everybody's like, "Why are you in our dreams?" But based on the trailer, it kind of looks like things go awry.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't look like it's really gonna end well, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, because after he becomes this media darling, then all the people who are not having nice dreams, which who has nice dreams all the time, they're blaming him and
Right.
attacking his person.
And I don't remember my dreams enough to do it. But it's really kind of fun. It's basically Nick Cage playing Paul Giamatti, which we saw in the other trailer.
I think I was just surprised that Nick Cage, they've got him in kind of a half bald cap thing.
Yeah.
And
he's got like a monk's,
looks so much older and lumpier.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not the kind of thing that you're used to seeing Nick Cage in.
Coming to Disney Plus is a new series starting December 20th, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And this is another in the fantasy kids books becomes a movie or series. Looks good.
Yeah, it's and
enjoyable.
We've seen this already. There was already a couple of theatrical films in this series, and they're starting over, I guess.
It looks like it.
Yeah.
Because the kid who is starring in it doesn't know what's going on at the beginning of the movie.
Right. And it sounded like one of those things where like maybe the movies didn't really engage people the way they thought or the way the books did. Where like the Harry Potter movies pretty much lived up to the books. And I heard that Percy Jackson wasn't quite as
I didn't read the books and I didn't see the movies.
I only know about them peripherally, so.
Right.
But it could be
Looks
interesting stuff. Yeah. It's like really not aimed at us.
No. But it's the kind of thing where if you don't have anything else to watch, you might watch this. It's on Disney Plus, so easy enough for us.
Exactly.
Coming to theaters on December 20th, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. If I were into Aquaman, I would be excited that a new Aquaman movie was out. I really don't care.
I'll say that the first Aquaman movie was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It had Tamura Morrison in it as his dad, which was really great. It had Nicole Kidman in it. She did a great job. And I didn't hate Jason Momoa in it. That was the point where I was still kind of mad at him for the book ripping episode. But, what we've learned about Amber Heard afterwards, I'm like, well, maybe it's a wash. They're both kind of
Yeah.
But, I mean, it looks pretty good. It's pretty big. They're bringing back the villain from the last one, and they're bringing back his... there was a contender for his throne, and they're bringing that guy back too. So it's covering a lot of ground that the last movie covered, just as very much a direct sequel. And if you watch the trailer, notice how little Amber Heard appears in it. She's sort of been excised from it. You see a lot of Nicole Kidman, and I'm wondering if maybe they didn't go back and fix some of her stuff, Amber Heard stuff with Nicole Kidman.
But Nicole Kidman plays the mom, doesn't she?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they seem to have managed to sideline Mara, which was Amber Heard's character. And I'm wondering if that's just because of the whole Johnny Depp fracas, whatever, was pretty grim. But anyway, it's a big giant spectacle. And if you like the first one, it's got a lot of the same people that were in the first one in the second one. So, including the Black Manta character, he comes back and kicks butt and takes names.
And finally, coming to PBS and Masterpiece Theater on March 17th is Helena Bonham Carter as Nolly. And this, I'm trying to remember. She plays the main character Nolly, but
she's she's
an aging celebrity,
right? Who sort of gets sidelined and doesn't want to be, and basically she gets fired and she's not going to take it sitting down, and so this is about her revenge campaign to become relevant again and whatnot. And apparently, it's a real story. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I don't even know who this celebrity
that I'm aware
is.
of. So it might be a very distinctly British thing that
Probably
we just didn't have access to. So
yeah,
it could be fun.
Speed round.
Sure.
We've got 45 minutes left.
We have plenty of time. We're
Yes.
just kind of kicking it.
We are cooking through our list. Go ahead.
Let's
Something
see.
you want to talk about. Or we could just go through the whole list, I feel like.
Werewolf by Night. I don't know if you remember this Disney Plus thing that came out as a cool spooky thing in was it like a year ago, I guess, that it came out. It was done in black and white specifically, and it's a mood, this black and white incarnation. And so there are select things that show up in color that are supposed to make a point because of the magical nature of the universe. But otherwise, it's very moody and gothic and cool. I was wondering about why they're releasing it in color. It didn't really seem to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I didn't know why either.
Well, somebody that I know who apparently worked on it, and I guess it came out in October, 1 year ago, and so it hasn't been out that long. And a lot of people really glommed onto it, went, "Oh my god, I like it." And one of the guys I know who apparently worked on this new color version says that the color they're doing on it is also an homage, in that they're doing this sort of lurid Technicolor Hammer horror monster palette to it. So if you grew up in a certain time and you watched a lot of these really just oversaturated crazy horror movies that used to come out of England, then it may also catch your attention. I really liked the black and white aspect of it. I thought it was a gutsy move, and I thought it was really cool, and it worked well. So we'll have to see what happens with it. Kirk Thatcher's in it, and we like him.
I'm not a fan of colorized versions of things, so I feel weird about this.
Yeah, but what you have to realize is that honestly, it was probably shot in color to start.
Right, and then they moved it to black. That's why I feel weird, because I'm just not sure.
And then they just basically desaturated the whole thing, and so now, they're gonna tweak with it again. I don't see the need for it, but as a curiosity, it's interesting, I guess.
Yeah. Rogers the Musical cast album is now streaming, so you can sing at home along with Star Spangled Man and Save the City.
If you didn't get the opportunity to go to Disney California Adventure and see Rogers the Musical in their Hyperion Theater, which was a 40-minute live stage presentation of the fake musical they created for the Hawkeye television series, it was actually pretty good.
It was good.
Yeah, and I saw it a couple times, some cast swapping in and out, but they took the trouble to record it as a cast album, And if you do Spotify or wherever you stream your music out of, you can now add this and listen to it.
You know what's bizarre? I have Pandora, and they changed it around, and now I can't figure out how to add anything into my Pandora. So I just
Weird.
listen to the same thing over and over.
Well, there's 12 tracks, including the sort of opening night stuff and the playoff at the end. And then it has Save the City, which really should be called I Could Do This All Day, which is the musical number that you actually saw in Hawkeye. And then they fleshed everything out about, the sort of history of Cap becoming Captain America. Steve Rogers becomes Captain America, and then he goes to fight, and then he comes to modern day. And, it's really kind of interesting. And it encapsulates his entire life, which is really fun. And the music's good. Disney generally doesn't slouch at their performers. And so now's your chance to check it out. But to be fair, you could probably go on YouTube and find some pretty great video up there, too, of the entire show. Because everybody shot the entire show.
Yeah. You want to take the next one?
Sure. Let's see. What do I want to do? The Walt Disney Company's Chief Information Officer, Diane Jurgens, is leaving. Disney's in an interesting position. So Bob Iger is back, and he's largely considered to be a bit of balm for the company, and certainly better than Bob Chapek, who took over for Iger when he retired. Things are really tough right now because of the writers' strike, and some of the shine is coming off of Iger because of the way he's treating the striking entities, SAG and the Writers Guild of America.
Yeah, he is not a person who is in touch with the common man.
And he's not making friends. He's just not making friends. And of course, she joined underneath Bob Chapek, and the guy who comes in usually gets rid of the last guy's staff. So it's entirely possible that this is just part of this. Sadly, somebody that I knew left the company. Latondra Newton left. She was the chief diversity officer. She was one of the cool people who let Colleen and I lead their Pride Parade entry in San Francisco. And it's weird. I'm not entirely sure why the diversity officer is gone, except maybe she just didn't want to be there anymore, which is perfectly okay. So they haven't filled them. We don't know anything else, but basically there's a hole coming up, and we'll have to see. The CIO, the Chief Information Officers, shouldn't be too hard to fill, but hopefully they find somebody who's compatible with the Disney philosophy, and doesn't burn things down as they come in.
Byron Allen offered Disney $10 billion for ABC, FX, National Geographic, and local stations. This was reported by Bloomberg.
And when was the last time you thought about Byron Allen?
Like 20 years ago, maybe?
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, what is he doing these days? I no idea.
Apparently making $1 billion so that he can offer to buy. Oh, apparently he owns the Weather Channel and many local stations.
Okay.
Tried and failed to purchase, and his Allen Media LLC is in debt. So it sounds like he's not going to be successful.
Well, and he'd probably have to divest himself of those local stations because he'd own the ABC network, sort of, a big part of it. So that could be a problem.
But on the other hand, Disney's stock prices hit a 3-year low in August, and analysts have suggested breaking up the company is the best option to turn things around.
Wow.
Eugh, I hope that they don't do too much of that.
Well, you know what they could do? They could hand Disneyland over to the Oriental Land Company.
That would be kind of awesome.
The Oriental Land Company, if you don't know, are the people behind Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea.
Right.
And we love them very much. They do such a good job
Yeah.
at their theme parks that of our experience with the various theme parks, Japan is in the lead.
Yes.
now, just
very
because
much is.
if you're ever in doubt about going to those parks, if you find yourself in the vicinity of Tokyo, run, don't
Go.
walk. Run,
Yeah.
don't walk. It's amazing. But yeah, this whole thing's kind of like really strange. I think I did mention on the show last week that if you want to buy Disney stock, now is the time.
And then we promptly forgot to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I can't see Disney really selling off these things that basically make advertiser dollars.
Right.
They're basically pulling in more money than Disney Plus is, I'm sure, in terms of profit. So I will be really surprised if they take Byron up on his offer.
Yeah. You want to grab the next one?
Sure. Steve Ditko has a stage play it's a biographical play about him. He's a co-creator of Spider-Man with Stan Lee, and Ditko was born in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and so next month, or in a couple of weeks, it's going to his hometown. So it'll be kind of cool. So the Daydream Theater Company is going to put it on at the State Theater of Johnstown from on October 1st.
It's only $10 to get in.
I know, right? In advance, $15
Yeah.
if you do it, or 2 for $15 if you buy them online and use the code DITKO, DITKO.
That's pretty cool.
It sounds like they're only doing one performance, though. How weird is that,
Oh.
right?
That's like us.
Yeah, very much so.
Wow.
But anyway, Steve Ditko, like you might know his name, but you know, it's all about Stan Lee, right? Everybody knows Stan Lee. Not a lot of people know Steve Ditko in the way that everybody knows Bob Kane created Batman, but he didn't entirely. Bill
Right.
Finger did a lot of it, most of it maybe. But there's always somebody to take the credit for it. So, and he created Doctor Strange, and Blue Beetle, and all sorts of people like that. So
So I had a wacky thing in my Facebook feed. I got an ad for Disney Plus, and
because
they
we're
want
talking about it.
because I like Disney and I get lots of ads for Disney things. But they're pushing a deal where if you buy a certain amount, like if you pay a certain amount, then you get in on a deal that's going to go away, like the price is going to go up or something for Disney Plus. And I clicked on it just to see what it was, and they are now allowing you to get Hulu and Disney Plus with none of the stupid sports channel.
Really?
$20 a month for Hulu and Disney Plus with no ads.
Okay. What are we playing for Disney Plus these days?
No idea.
I don't know either, because we had problems with Hulu. I finally got Hulu to work after a month of fighting with it. We were trying to watch Only Murders in the Building, and I did everything. I cleared the cache, I unplugged the thing, unplugged the television, I reset everything, I rebooted everything, and some magical, mystical twirling of cats above my head made it work after a month of fighting it.
It's pretty tempting to get Hulu without
Commercials?
the ads because those are really annoying.
Well, and the thing that was really funny is like I was on tech support. I called. I got so frustrated. I actually called them, and I think their support lines are in the Philippines. And I was talking to somebody there, and I was getting that sort of what am I paying for if I can't watch this kind of
It's
thing?
embarrassing.
And then I went and looked it up, and I'm like, oh, we're paying $2 a month for it. Like, la 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 la. We're not really paying all
Yeah.
that much. So,
But it's exciting that you can get, because when they started packaging Disney Plus, they had all of these different configurations, but there was nothing where you could get just Disney Plus and Hulu without the sports station.
right.
You could get, and that's ESPN Plus. You could get ESPN with just Hulu. You could get ESPN with Disney Plus, but there wasn't anything with Hulu and Disney Plus unless you bought Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN. So excited
And I
about
just don't care about sports really. I
Yeah.
mean, no
well, and
offense to
I would
those who
feel
like them.
annoyed to be paying for that,
Right.
even if it's the same price. Like if they said, and for $20 a month, you can add in ESPN Plus. I would be like, great, I will save a penny.
Right.
and not do that. Sean.
Yeah, so this is a weird thing.
So weird.
I don't know if you've been following Miriam Margolyes lately. She's an actress who's been around for a really long time. And the older she gets, the more loopy she gets, and the less of a governor she has on her mouth. And so Miriam Margolyes was Professor Sprout in the Harry Potter films. And she was on a talk show with Daniel Radcliffe. And they're talking about being in this movie thing. And for whatever reason, she just sort of like is trying to say that he's young. And she says, well, you know, at that point, your testicles haven't dropped yet. And it's like, what? How about you just say you were a young boy? That's like, what the heck? So anyway, she's kind of really loopy. And then out of the blue, she releases this thing that says...
She released a book.
Yeah, but the story just seems so left field.
Yeah.
She says that when she did Little Shop of Horrors with Frank Oz and Steve Martin, Steve Martin was horrible to her and beat her up and bruised her up. And so he plays the dentist, of course, Steve Martin does. And it was directed by Frank Oz. And there's a fake punch in it where the dentist puts his hand out and, like, you know, fake punches her. It's in front of her face. It's like it doesn't make contact with her, and she falls backwards. And haha, funny. He's the horrible, abusive dentist, and even to his own staff. And so Steve Martin and Frank Oz are like, what? Because Steve Martin says, my memory is that we had a good communication as professional actors. But when it's implied that I harmed her or was in some way careless about doing the stunts, I have to object. I remember taking extreme caution regarding the fake punch, the same caution I would use with any similar scene. And Frank Oz is like, no, nobody complained. It wasn't a problem. He says, I always rehearse physical actions in slow motion. The scene was supposed to include a fake punch. It's puzzling what she's talking about. It's not the Steve I know or anyone knows. He's always been professional. So, you know, the two primary filmmakers involved in that scene are like, I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
And so it's just kind of a weird thing. And just based on how strange Miriam Margolyes has been of late with all of her interviews and stuff, I'm kind of awarding this one to Steve and Frank.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm just like,
100%.
And why are we just hearing about it now? Why wasn't she talking about it on talk shows back in the day?
I think it's one of those things where if you tell a story long enough, you know how stories morph and you try to make them a little more enjoyable. And
totally.
I think she started believing her own stories.
I guess, but I mean, you don't make stuff up about people. You can embellish it and make them more exciting, but you don't make stuff up about people. You tell it in a more creative way.
Right.
I've got stories like that get better every time I tell them, but it's just in the timing and, you know, who I talk about first and whatever. I don't make stuff up that didn't happen.
Right.
I don't understand what and the only reason that I'm sort of indignant about this, I like Miriam Margolyes. I even sort of like that she doesn't have a governor on her mouth anymore.
Lisa says that she has a book to sell.
Yeah, and you're not wrong, Lisa. It's really what it boils down to. It just makes me sad, especially because these are people I like, Steve Martin and Frank Oz, and they're nice people. Yeah.
McDonald's is phasing out the self-serve drink stations. They're doing it over a period of the next 9 years. But you know, they've announced that that's what they're doing. I'd also like to say that lots of companies announce that they're doing something in the long term and then they don't.
Right.
Like Trader Joe's years ago announced, and I don't know, before COVID. So COVID might have to do with why they didn't make this change.
And to jump in, if you're listening from somewhere not in the United States, Trader Joe's is a small supermarket.
Yes. they said they were going to get rid of plastic in their packaging,
Right.
and they have not.
Well, Hasbro just rolled that back where they started selling their action figures in boxes where you couldn't see what was there. There were pictures on the front, but no plastic to show you the actual figure. Nobody liked it. And now they're trying to find some other way to have more biodegradable plastic where you can see into the package, because nobody was buying their stuff because they're like, well, if I can't see it, I'm not going to buy it. Which is a huge problem. The thing I think about this, though, is that the drink industry in fast food restaurants is changing as they get to these very elaborate self-serve things where you can like create your own drink.
Right. So you can choose Pepsi, and then you can have vanilla and cherry and, I don't know, some other flavor. And you just press a series of buttons and it all comes out at once. So you could make good tasting suicides, which they probably don't call those that anymore. It's
right.
probably inappropriate.
And it's
all at once, and the mix will be correct.
I don't remember what they call freestyle. That's what they call it.
Freestyle, okay.
And so as these freestyle machines become a draw, and I know people who are like, ooh, I'm going to go get food there because I got a freestyle machine, because they want to make their, cherry vanilla Coke Zero or whatever they want to do, or cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper. I mean, you can basically take all of these syrups and put them in with a touch of a button. If they're not going to want their employees behind the counter doing that. So either that's going to have a big effect on the drink industry, and I'm sure that like Coke, who makes these freestyle machines, is really going to push hard to continue to allow people to do this. And in a time where things are going to more self-serve, like your self-checkout and all of that kind of stuff, it seems like a weird thing to say that they're going to roll back on.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I see it, I think is what it comes down to, because I think they'll get pushback from people going, oh man, those freestyle machines are the reason I come here. Mm-hmm. Because, you can go anywhere and get a hamburger. They're all about the same. But if you're just going to get a Coke or a Pepsi, or you have the chance for the freestyle machine to get whatever you want and multiples of it, that's fine. But that said, I mean, maybe it's too expensive for McDonald's or whatever to do that, and that's how they're going to cut costs.
Who knows? You want to take the next one?
Sure. So green sea turtles are thriving in the San Gabriel River.
So this is a local story for us
Yeah.
here.
We have a variety of man-made rivers that go through Southern California. They all pretty much end up at the ocean. And they're largely designed to be runoff from rain and the mountains and things like that, to send the water that we're not using for irrigation and for drinking water and stuff, to send this stuff out to the sea. And there's almost no life in these things. And in fact, I've been hearing a lot of stories about these giant litter collection machines that they're putting at the end of the rivers before they hit the ocean. Apparently, we have one down the street at Ballona Creek, which is the river that ends right basically down the hill from us. It's like half a mile down the hill. And that's designed to like catch 90% of the things before it hits the ocean. But apparently green turtles are now swimming up the river and laying eggs. And
these are ocean turtles. These are like,
yeah.
Big turtles, not little turtles like we have here in the house.
Yeah.
Makes it sound like
and
we
somehow
have an
they've made it
infestation of
through
turtles.
all of the trash and all of the junk. And the
So they're encouraging the people who live in the area to help out by taking photos whenever they see one of these green sea turtles and noting the date and time and spot where they saw them, and then turning that information in, because the turtles can be identified by the markings on their heads.
Right. They're very distinctive and individual.
Yeah.
But these turtles are like sliding into extinction. And
they're doing a bit of a comeback now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing
Yeah.
that's really exciting is that, instead of like being worried about them, now they've found a way to sort of encourage them to repopulate
Yeah.
by using the San Gabriel River here, which is a big concrete nothing. If you remember the movie Grease, where they had their
car race
drag
at the
race,
end? Yeah.
that's what we're talking about. We're
Yeah.
talking about that kind of river. It's fascinating. So, but kind of cool. I mean, obviously we're big turtle fans over here, having two of them in the house, and yeah, this makes me really, really pretty happy.
There is another troll movie coming to Netflix. Troll 2, and we're not talking the sparkly trolls. This is Troll 2 Norwegian monster movie sequel, which is a sequel to the Netflix film Troll from
Fair enough.
2022.
And it's, where are the what is it, Iceland? Where, well, it says Norway, I guess. But there's a place where the trolls are just huge
Well,
cultural.
I think it's Norway,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I guess so.
The first movie in this series, Troll, or Trolls, is the Netflix's most popular non-English movie ever, with 100 million views in its first 3 months.
Wow.
So it's probably going to be popular, Troll 2.
What I'm thinking of, I think, is Iceland, who also they have a huge troll culture in Iceland. But this is not the cute troll. These are not the ones with hair. It's not the one with Anna Kendrick. Mm-hmm. It's like,
Right.
if you go thinking
no
that,
sparkles.
you're going to be real surprised.
Yeah.
And a lot less singing.
Well, I don't think you have to go anywhere. It's on Netflix.
Right. You could always watch it and play the soundtrack to Eurovision.
That would be kind of cool. Or you could play the soundtrack to the Trolls cartoons.
Right. Good night, Kelly. Kelly's going to bed.
Yeah,
Take care
Kelly.
of John. John just had knee surgery. He's more machine now than man. Twisted and evil. But walking around the neighborhood, so
Yes.
he's got that going on for him.
Yeah. Sean, you want to grab the next one?
Surely. Hugh Jackman and Deborah Lee Jackman separate after 27 years of marriage.
It
I
must
know.
be hard to be in the limelight all the time.
I know some women who are elated. They're like, oh, Hugh Jackman's back on the market.
It's not like he's going to date them.
Right, exactly. and of course, some people are really sad. Somebody I know on Facebook, he's a director, posted a thing asking for privacy in his family because he and his wife, who've been separated for a while, have sort of finalized their divorce. And they're like, our primary goal is our kids. We're still friends. We want to raise the kids, but we just don't want to do it together. And please respect that and give us some space. It's got to be really hard to be like that public, that you have to release a thing like that and say, please,
Respect me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't bash on us. Don't get upset. Don't, do whatever. Just let us deal with our lives.
Right.
And it's nuts. And that's what's kind of going on here. It says, our journey now is shifting and we have decided to separate to pursue our individual growth. And that was apparently in People magazine.
Army of Darkness Forever is a comic book that's coming out, and there's a trailer for this comic book. How weird is that?
Oh, have you never seen a book trailer?
I mean,
They're super common.
not really.
Yeah, and so in fact I voiced a few of them, which is really fun. Where basically they take some still images, they animate them like rudimentarily, and they get you kind of interested in what the story's about by making like a little cartoon about it. And it's really a fascinating way to sell a book, and because basically it's like, did this interest you enough? Click here to buy it on Amazon, kind of a deal. And of course we know Army of Darkness and Evil Dead, and so any comic book that features even the likeness of Bruce Campbell should be really fun. So yeah, we'll see. We'll
Not
see.
to be confused with Billy Campbell.
Yes, Bruce Campbell has the chin. Billy Campbell has the butt.
This new series will be spread across 3 time periods, including the apocalyptic future of 2093.
I thought you were going to say 2023.
No, and also 1993 flashbacks. And I don't know what the other time period is.
I don't know either.
Yeah, so.
Got me.
Anyway, check that out if you're a Army of Darkness or comic book fan.
Should be fun.
Yeah. You got another one?
I do. So Ryan Reynolds is getting the Robin Williams Legacy of Laughter Award. If this is an award that you doesn't leap instantly to mind, it's because it's given out by Bring Change to Mind, which is a mental health focused nonprofit charity that Glenn Close runs. And so this particular award, the Robin Williams Legacy of Laughter, has been going on for about 10 years. And it is administered by Zach, Zelda, and Cody, who are Robin Williams' kids. Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg, Ben Stiller, Dan and Eugene Levy, Melissa McCarthy have all received this award in the past, as has the Will Smith family. A little strange. I don't think of them for comedy, per se. But basically, Ryan Reynolds is very excited. He says, "I'm looking forward to a spectacular evening, and I'm grateful for the generosity of my fellow artists." And that's Glenn Close talking, who are going to honor Ryan Reynolds. And this is their fundraiser. So he's coming, they're giving him an award, and all the celebrities will go and donate lots of money to the mental health charity, which is kind of a big deal, of course, because Robin Williams passed away. He took his own life because of mental health issues. We, in some of the Star Wars clubs, have been dealing with some losses recently to similar issues. It's really, really very serious. And the whole charity is designed to get people to acknowledge that it's okay to get help. It's okay to talk to somebody. It's okay to not live in your bubble and fight something like that alone. And, you know, if you guys are anything like me, you were your own worst enemy. It's really tough to sit there and have these internal conversations with yourself when you could be having them with someone else who has a different point of view and might be able to help you out. So I like her. I like her concept here for charity. So fingers crossed that they raise a bunch of money, and congratulations to Ryan Reynolds.
Right. Leslie Jordan is going to be added to the Palm Springs Walk of Stars.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Leslie Jordan passed away in the last he died in 2022.
Yeah.
And he is the 462nd entry into the Palm Springs Walk of Stars. And they're going to do a ceremony on October 20th at 11 a.m. at the corner of Museum Way and North Museum Drive, if you are Palm Springs local.
And it's going to be Leslie Jordan Day. How very, very cool. And apparently he posted a video in 2021 going, "Where's my star?"
Yeah.
In front of Pauly Shore's star. He's like, "You gave one to Pauly Shore, but where's mine?" It's funny. If you don't remember Leslie Jordan, he's was a relatively diminutive guy with a crazy twang in his voice. Very much a fighter for the LGBTQ community, and just a really tremendous and very, very funny actor who basically got pigeonholed into his own category in that Steve Buscemi kind of way, because he was who he was, and people would cast him to be him, and it was really great. It was very sad to hear that he had passed away. So this is a neat tribute.
Yeah, and it I was looking up something on him, and I didn't end up finding it. So.
He was in Con Man with Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk. That's where I met him. And he just did he was on a...
He was in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he did a lot of television series work.
Right.
And so as a character actor, he's super, super busy.
So this weekend is busy.
It is.
We've got... Sean and I are supposed to go to a photography exhibit that our friend Stephen Calcote, it's his 50th birthday, and he's doing, as his birthday present, he's doing a photography exhibit. So we're supposed to check that out on Saturday. Hopefully we'll be able to make that. And then Sunday, Sean's going to be doing a Ghostbusters something. You said it's for the Susan G. Komen breast cancer?
It is. And in fact, so Jeff's going to be there. The OC Ghostbusters are going to be there. And Garen, who was hanging out in the chat over on Facebook, watching the show, he's going to be there too with his car. Star Wars cars are on display there too, which is
so you're going to be
displaying
your Star Wars car, but dressing as a Ghostbuster?
But dressed as a Ghostbuster, which is going to be kind of strange.
Wacky.
So yeah, so it'll be kind of weird. And Jeff is doing the same thing too. I don't know if he's doing his
jumpsuit or his his glasses.
Right. I don't know if he's doing the Rick Moranis character or he's going to be a Ghostbuster. But he's got both of them now. I think he got a backpack for his birthday from the kids.
Oh, nice.
I think he got one of the spirit packs. So we'll have to see.
So tempting to go to the Ghostbusters event because I haven't done anything other than Costume College as a Ghostbuster.
If you want to go, I think that we have... I have a backpack you can wear. It's not fancy, but it'll work. And it's ready to go. And all we have to do is have you sign up. They require a volunteer form to fill out.
The alternative is to go to the Culver City English Country Dance rehearsal that I didn't go to 2 weeks ago because I wasn't feeling well.
Which is a little closer in Culver City.
It's closer, and I've really been wanting to get back to dance since COVID because it's good exercise and great fun.
I think this Ghostbusters thing is in Huntington Beach.
It's far, far away.
As I recall. Let me look up real quick and see. So here's the... it's called the More Than Pink Walk.
All right, well, I'll check it out.
And it is, Newport Beach is where it is. And it's 6:30 to 12. So it's early. Colleen's like, I am out. I'm done.
Yeah, although if you get up at 5:30 in the morning or earlier...
You'll wake up anyway.
I'll be awake anyway. Right. And I have to be awake quite early on Saturday to let somebody into a house nearby. So
just any house?
Random house.
Right.
Some painting needs to be done inside the house, so I have to let them in.
Okay.
But the really cool thing that we have coming up is Sean and I made reservations to go to Disney on Tuesday, the 26th, and I'm going to be taking a half day at work so that we can fully enjoy it. So Sean will do his show, and then we'll both end our work days at the same time, and we'll go dress up for Bounding at Galaxy's Edge. And Sean just found out yesterday, I think he was at Disney.
Yeah, I was at Disneyland yesterday talking to one of the locals of Batu, and he says that they are observing a harvest festival in Batu, which if you have the Traveler's Guide to Batu, there's a list of 3 events. One of them is our Life Day event, which is really cool, which is coming up in November. But one of them is this Harvest Festival, which doesn't give a direct date per se, but I hear it's supposed to be on Tuesday, according to the local that I talked to. So he's going to dress up with lots of harvest-related colors and flair and sort of encourage us to do it too.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be really fun, but kind of weird because it's a festival only in Batuu.
Right.
It's not like it's from a different part of Star Wars. They made it up for Galaxy's Edge. And this is the first that Sean and I have heard about it. So, other than reading it in the book.
Right. We didn't know that they actually
there
did
wasn't a
any
specific
kind
date.
of active.
Yeah. And we just so happened to have a reservation for the same day. So it's kind of exciting, and the hat that I made to go to Galaxy's Edge in fits in perfectly with the theme. So it looks very harvesty. It's the right colors and there's a lot of yellow in it. So I'm excited, and I hope that they do something special that we get to take part in.
I showed him a picture of your hat, although the only one I could find was one that you had like blocked out the background in or something. It was weird. It had like a white frame around it.
It was I took it in front of the kitchen door.
Oh, okay. It looked really strange. It looked like you had digitally removed whatever was around it.
No.
And it wasn't you. It was just the hat. And but he said that that's perfect, and it looked really great.
Yeah.
And in the book that I showed you yesterday, if you look at the opposite page, which has the lexicon for Batuu speak, there is a particular. I think they call it gold dust, which is what they call the rust-colored stuff that's all over the walls.
Right, the sort of moss.
Right, which is a thing that you had taken your inspiration from. So that was.
Yeah.
It was
I never ended up finding any of that to put on my hat.
Yeah,
I was going to go to a train store.
We needed to get some. Yeah. Well,
I never did.
Maybe if I find myself near a train store, maybe I'll jump in and grab it.
Maybe.
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But this weekend could be kind of fun. I'm trying to I bought on auction I got like a $300 RC car for about $50, and I have mounted a ghost trap to it, and so I've recreated this sort of what they call the RTV, the remote trap vehicle from the last Ghostbusters Afterlife film. And I want to bring it with me to this thing on Sunday and drive it around a little bit and see how that goes. Because, I think it'd be a fun thing to do dressed as a Ghostbuster.
So apparently
I've got some work to do on that.
The event is not a Ghostbusters event. It's
the group we're hanging out with is Orange County Ghostbusters.
Right. They're just one of
many groups. Yes. And so it's kind of akin to like Relay for Life or anything like that. And so the invite that was extended to us came from OC Ghostbusters, and so Jeff and I tapped in, and we're gonna do it. You are totally
I can't find them as one of the groups.
Welcome to come if you want.
I wonder if they have a different name.
Maybe. I'll have to look and see if I can.
There's some interesting names here.
If I can figure it out. Although we might be a displaying group and not like a running group. So some of the.
I think it's a walking group. It's a walk, not a run.
Yeah, the ones you're looking at might be. They did it. Essentially, I think we're like a cheering squad, the way we do for Disney.
They don't have any way to look that up, so I will try.
And so I found pictures of the group from 2020 that did it, and apparently they had like all sorts of vehicles and stuff there too. So
fun.
We'll have to see how it all shakes out. But I'm just going to hang out with some people. And have a good time, like low impact stuff. So fingers crossed that we have a good time. You are welcome to join me if you want, but if you want to sleep in and go dancing instead, I get it.
Yeah.
No problemo. I guess that's about it for us, huh? Jeff sends his apologies, but not really. He's at Scary Farm having a good time, so he's missed. Big thanks to Kit, who does our entire document for the show, gets that started for us and adds lots of things, all the stuff that we talk about during the week. And also, if you are following the DB94 page on Facebook, that's all Kit. She does all the funny stuff and all the posts and things like that. So, like above and beyond, I think she just went to the page and went, "It's mine," which is pretty fun, and we're grateful for her doing that. Of course, Jeff will probably be back next week to tell us all about Scary Farm, and we'll talk about this Ghostbusters thing that we're doing. You can find me on the radio tomorrow, wrapping out the week for Good Morning Tatooine. That's at 9 a.m. Pacific Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And that'll be it for the week. I hope you guys have a really good one. Do some fun stuff. You're always welcome to tell us about what you're doing anytime you want, either on the Docking Bay page or here in the chat or whatever you want to do. Because we like to know what's going on with you. You guys listen to us for a couple hours, yammer on about what we're doing. And it's always cool to find out what you're up to, too.
Yep. I'm Colleen Kaylee Crosby.
I am Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby, and whether you are watching us on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or listening on sci-fi.radio, we hope that the Force will be with you. Bye, guys.
Night.
Let's give you guys some credits over here. Our theme is by Cosmo Moose, who he's got a concert tomorrow, I think, online. We'll have to post that on our page.
Right.
But, gosh, I can't. My problem is I cannot read. There we go. These things. The type is so small on the computer. There's our credits. So I'll post the thing for Cosmo Moose's live concert that he's doing Friday night, which is fun, in case you need something cool to do. And in the meantime, we'll see all y'all later on. Bye, TV people.